Let's have a look at problem 9.6b, another equity method problem. You know the drill. Once a company acquires more than a 20% stake in another company, they likely have significant influence. Not necessarily, but they likely have significant influence. And if they do have significant influence, easy for me to say, we have to account for that investment using the equity method. So let's have a look. On January 1st, 2031, Revelstoke Corp purchased 40,000 common shares of Powder Inc. for $400,000 cash. This represents 30% ownership in Powder Inc. Just a quick note, 40,000 shares for $400,000 is $10 per share, of course. During the year ended December 31st, 2031, Powder Inc. struggled with operational challenges and reported the following. They had a net loss, negative net income, $80,000. And they did manage to pay some dividends despite having a bad year. They paid $30,000 in dividends. With these questions, we always want to know our share of it. So, if we're doing equity method, our share of the loss is $24,000. Right? We own 30% of the company, therefore we own 30% of this loss, and our share of the dividends is $9,000. We took in $9,000 of dividends. At year end, the market value of the shares had dropped to $9 per share, meaning at year end our investment is worth 9 times 40,000, $360,000. So part one says, assume no significant influence. And if that's the case, we're going to value this investment at fair value, most likely. And it says, assume that despite the 30% stake, Revelstoke does not have significant influence over Powder. That's possible. There could be a 70% owner on the other side that is just, if you have 70% of the votes, you control the company and you don't have to listen to the 30% owner if you don't want to. And therefore, we have no significant influence. So therefore, it's a trading investment, fair value through net income, and it says do the journal entries. All right, so first journal entry, we bought the shares January 1st, 2031. Debit investment in Powder, $400,000. Credit cash, $400,000. Oops, let's move the credit over to the right. $400,000. Next relevant date is the dividend, right? So nothing happens until December 20th. We receive a dividend. So Powder pays a dividend. Well, we get $9,000. So on December 20th, debit cash, $9,000. This is dividend income, aka investment income. $9,000. Okay, so that's December 20th. And again, this is just like previous questions we've done. Now we have to do a fair value adjustment. So we have to adjust this down to $360,000. We got an investment on the books for $400,000. We got to reduce the investment by 40. The market value has fallen by 40. So on December 31st, 2031, I'm going to credit my investment in Powder. $40,000, and I'm going to debit unrealized holding gain/loss, right? Loss in this case. $40,000. Okay, so there you go. We've done the journal entries. It says, how would this be reported on the December 31st, 2031 balance sheet? Well, we would have investment in Powder. We might just call this like trading investments if I had many investments, but we'll just say investment in Powder. And it would be valued at the 400 minus the 40, it would be valued at 360. So that's part B. Part C, what is the impact of this investment on the net income? Well, we got revenue of 9 and we got a loss of 40, so we're down 31 overall, right? A debit of 40, a credit of 9, we're down 31 overall. So the effect on net income is reduces net income by $31,000. So our owning this thing hurts our profit by $31,000. Okay, that's it for part one. Now part two, kind of the raison d'etre, the reason we're here, is to do this the equity method. But you'll see the equity method not too hard. January 1st, so we're doing the journal entries equity method. Let me just read this. Assume instead that the 30% stake does confer significant influence, so we buy 30%, and we do have significant influence over Revelstoke, and we decide we want to use the equity method. Okay, so we buy the investment. Well, that's the same journal entry, debit investment in powder. Now, sometimes companies will declare the type of investment. They'll say fair value through net income investment or trading investment, and they'll say this one is an equity investment. So be cautious, use whatever jargon your professor is using, but it should do pretty similar journal entries. Particularly the equity method should really match up with just about any course. Okay, December 20th, 2031, we get a dividend and debit cash here for $9,000. It's the same amount of cash. Like, methods here don't affect cash flowing in or out. It's the same cash flow. However, the credit here is different. The equity method says we're sort of tracking our investment in them through their retained earnings. We're saying, what's our share of their retained earnings, essentially, and how did that change over time? And our share of their retained earnings, if they pay a dividend, dividends reduce retained earnings, our share of their retained earnings drops by $9,000, so therefore our investment in them drops when they pay a dividend. It's kind of a weird concept the first time you see it, but the mechanics of it aren't hard. You just figure out how much the dividend was for, and then rather than crediting dividend income as we did above, you just credit the investment, $9,000. On December 31st, again, we're tracking the investment through the retained earnings. So the investment, there's a net loss of $80,000, and we own 30% of that, so $24,000. Our share of their retained earnings fell by $24,000. So I'm going to credit my investment by that fall. Credit investment in powder. Again, our share of the net loss, $24,000. Normally these questions, it's net income and we're debiting the investment, but this is a bad news year. We credit investment in powder. The debit is to, I always call this equity method income. I've seen it called investment income as well. And in this case, it's a loss, right? $24,000. And again, I've seen it called investment income / loss. That's fine as well. But there you go. That's the journal entries. So the question goes on to say, how would this investment be reported on the balance sheet? Well, we just have to track our debits and credits, right? We got investment in powder, 400 positive. We credited it by 9, and then we credited it by 24, 400. Oh, I should have just done that. 400 minus 9 minus 24, 367. So on the balance sheet, we're going to have an account called investment in powder, or equity method investment. So I'll call it investment in powder. And it's $367,000. What about the income statement impact? Well, interestingly, the dividend doesn't hit the income statement. Right, that dividend amount, there's debit, cash, credit, investment in powder. None of those are income statement accounts. This is our only income statement item, and it's the equity method income. Loss, $24,000. So reduces net income by $24,000. And you can see the amounts here are different, and why are they different? Well, we're doing different methods, and the real fundamental difference in the methods is this is really tracking, and the net income and the investment are really affected by stock market stuff, right? It could have nothing to do with the company and everything to do with the stock market. When some world event happens and affects, if this was some tourism business and it was COVID times, well, the stocks of all those businesses went way down and had nothing to do with their financial results. At that time, it was predicting future results. This method is all about the financial results in the time. So this one's stock market, this one's versus, internal accounting. That's why they are so different, and they're just different methods. So we would expect different answers, and we got them. All right, that's it for this problem. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye. The next video in our series is right up here, and if you want a supercut of all of the videos in this series, that's the one down below.